Hey, Rocky Peak, Michael here. It's just so good to be with you. We promised that we'd be sending you several videos from on site here in Israel. This is one of my favorites. We got in late last night to Jerusalem. We didn't get to bed till about 1 o'clock. They were up this morning at 6:30 for breakfast and heading out for the day. And so this is always one of our first sights of the day. We're at a place called Gezer. It's now called Tel Gezer. And this was one of the major cities in Israel in the Old Testament. In fact, it was one of the three major, we call them chariot cities. They were like military cities. One was in the kind of the south of the country near the coastline. One in the middle of the country is Megiddo, and one at the north called Hatzor. And they would store their chariots there. So chariots were like tanks in ancient times. But this city is important for many different reasons. So one of the things we've talked about today already is that when God sent the nation of Israel into the Promised Land, He met with them at Mount Sinai. They entered into a covenant there. They said that they wanted to be God's people. He wanted to be their God. They had a covenant ratification ceremony in Exodus 24. And in that ceremony, they set up 12 stone pillars to represent the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel as they had a fellowship dinner there ratifying the covenant. And this was a custom that was very common in the Middle East at that time. When they'd worship gods of all kinds, they would often set up sacred stones or pillars. And of course, Israel was commanded by God very clearly that when they went in the Promised Land, they were to completely destroy any altars or any sacred stones, because they would be tempted to start to worship the God of Israel in the way of the gods of the pagan Canaanites. And so here at Tel Gezer, they found over 100 years ago these standing stones that you see, that archaeologists still argue about this, but it seems like there's a really good chance that this was a place of pagan worship. And of course, the question is, well, if Israel conquered this land, why are these stones here? And that's a great question. And the answer is that though Israel conquered the land, in many ways, the land conquered them. And over time, they began to compromise and worship the other gods of the nations. They began to worship the gods of their own God in the way that the nations worshiped their gods. And this led ultimately to their downfall and to the loss of their whole country, and they went into exile. And so we talked here about this danger of compromise. It's always a danger to worship God and yet try to worship other gods, or try to worship our God in the way of the other gods. And of course, it never works. Like Jesus said, no one can serve two masters. You'll either love the one and hate the other, or hate the one and love the other. And so we're off to a great start here. I hope you're following us along the way. We'll be shooting several of these videos on site just to take you with us on this trip. And so until I see you next time, God bless, and I hope things are going well there. Thanks for your prayers here.